the life that's possible, the whole like New Age thing, the whole like, wait a minute, think about what you actually want from your life rather than following the script and assuming when you retire at 65 with osteoarthritis in both of your knees, you'll suddenly be happy sipping cocktails on a beach in Thailand. One of the core insights from it, which is not like a highlight, it's not one of the top level highlights that people normally say, it's just the idea of running experiments and testing hypotheses.
Yes.
Like I was just signing up to go to med school for 6 years and then training for 10 years for the sake of being a consultant when I was 40. And I hadn't really considered that path beyond like 2 days of work experience and the fact that everyone I knew was a doctor. And so after reading the 4-Hour Workweek, I started asking people who were 10 years ahead of me in their careers, are you happy? What are you up to? Like, would you change anything? My favorite question, if you won the lottery, how would you spend your time?
Yeah.
Would you still do medicine? And then half of the people would say they would leave immediately.
Wow.
One guy even said he'd leave in the middle of the operation.
Oh my God. Good luck.
He was like, yeah, my dream is to coach my son's like football team because he loved football. This is soccer.
Yeah.
And the other half of the people said they would continue medicine, but they'd go part-time. I've never met anyone who enjoys working 80 hours a week as a doctor. It's just not fun.
Yeah.
I've met people who enjoy working 30 hours a week as a doctor, maybe even 40, but not 80. 80, like doing anything for 80 hours a week is just not fun. And I would always ask those people, it's like, okay, well, what's stopping you from going part-time? And it was always be money. Well, I've got a mortgage, I've got kids, like bills and all that shit. And so the 4-Hour Workweek gave me that language, gave me that like mindset shift to be like, oh fuck, if money is the problem and the people 10 years ahead of me in their career are not having fun, I need a way to make money.
So I think that's such a really great takeaway. Find people 10 years ahead of you on your current path and ask them how they feel, what their current problems are, what their regrets are, or what anything that would change. Like it's one of those things that is, once you hear it said, is so obvious, but I've never heard anybody talk about that before.
I think that attitude of experimentation has pervaded every aspect of my life. Like we've got 54 actionable tips in this book. All of them are framed as experiments because it's like the idea is try this experiment, see if it works. Once my YouTube channel had started to make money, my hypothesis was always, hey, I'll be a part-time doctor and a part-time YouTuber. I named my course the Part-Time YouTuber Academy. I was all about, I still really enjoy medicine. It's still really fun. I want to be a part-time doctor. Then I kind of realized, wait a minute, before I sign up to an 8-year residency program and try and go part-time, let me just experiment with a few extra shifts to see what it's like being a part-time doctor. And for about 2 weeks, I did extra shifts in the emergency department. This was when I wasn't working, so I would do like 2 days a week or something. And every 10 minutes I was thinking, why am I here? What am I doing right now? It's a dingy emergency department. There's no natural light. I could be in a really nice WeWork right now with my team making YouTube videos. That's so much more fun. Why am I here? And after 2 weeks of this, I realized, hang on, I've just tried out this experiment, this part-time doctor, part-time YouTuber life. I realized, fuck this.
Yeah.
It's so much more fun being a full-time YouTuber. Oh my goodness. Wow. That 2-week experiment has now changed the course of my life because now I'm not worrying about applying to the US for a residency program and spending 3 years preparing for the exams and stuff. But if I hadn't run the experiment, I would have thought, well, of course, theoretically being a part-time doctor is fun because these doctors I've spoken to say it's reasonable and it's, it's good to call myself Dr. Ali Abdaal and the title of the book and all that shit. I ran the experiment and I was like, nope, not for me. Ran the other experiment of what's it like being a full-time YouTuber. That's really fun. Ran the experiment of what's it like to have a team of 20 people. Not fun. More fun having a team of 10. 10 is a good number, 10 to 12. That was really fun and it continues to be really fun. And even now it's like everything in life I almost treat like an experiment. I said to my team this morning, we had like an all-hands team meeting. The experiment we're trying for the next 3 months is, what does it look like if I only make a video when I feel like it? Rather than on a schedule. Don't know, let's see what happens. Let's run it as an experiment. We'll see. Best case scenario, experiment works out and I realize I've got more joy in my life. Worst case scenario, experiment doesn't work out, I get more data. It's not really a failure, it's just an experimental, it's an experiment. Even a failure is useful data and then I can inform the way I live my life.
Yeah.
Experiments around like, I wonder if it would be fun to, I don't know, try running every day.
Yeah.
Try that for a couple of weeks, see what happens. I'm just all about experimenting with life and over time landing on a nice place. But even then, like the place we land where we feel happy and fulfilled, as we grow older, people say, the things that brought you happiness and fulfillment when you were younger don't necessarily do it again. And so all of life is basically this sort of running a bunch of different experiments, having fun along the way and sort of meandering your way to some sort of fulfillment or something like that.
Something, yeah. The framing the framing of life as experimentation is, I think, is incredibly powerful as well because it removes the stigma of failure. There's no such thing as failure. There's only information, right? It's like, okay, we ran an experiment. I tried working overtime for a month as an experiment to see, and it didn't go well. So that's information. it removes the mindset that you have to succeed at everything you try, or that everything has to go well all the time. It's the only metric of success is simply feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a story that I talk about in the book. There's a YouTuber called Mark Rober who used to work at NASA, then worked at Apple, and now he's like a science educator on YouTube. And he ran a really fun experiment. He created like a coding challenge for 50,000 of his audience, and he split them up into 2 groups. And the idea was this challenge would help you learn how to code. And it was some sort of like robot maze, and you had to sort of program the robot to like go around the maze or something on this online interface. And the ingenious thing for this was that this was not a solvable problem. Like you couldn't actually solve it.
Yeah.
So he was just seeing like how much would people try. And so he split the 50,000 people into two groups. For half of them, you know, if they hit execute on the code and it didn't work, it said, you have failed, please try again. But for the other half of the people, it said, you have failed, you've lost 5 points, you now have 195 points, please try again. Mm-hmm. These points were totally meaningless, completely arbitrary, but one group started with 200 fake points and the other group got told nothing. And the group who got told they lost 5 points tried less than half as many attempts at solving this coding puzzle than the group that didn't say anything at all. And this whole experiment was a ruse. It wasn't intended to teach people how to code. It was intended to see how do people feel about failure. And when you're told you've lost 5 points, even though it's totally meaningless and it does not mean anything and it's not money and it's completely irrelevant, you still try less than half the number of times as someone who wasn't told that at all. Wow. So his whole message, he has a TED talk about this, is all about how do we reframe failure. And I think the way we reframe failure, as you said, is experimentation, where even failure is data gathering.
Yeah.